Dr. James Corrigan earned a BS in biology from the University of Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in 2006, then went on to earn his DVM degree in 2012 from the Virginia, Maryland Regional College of Veterinary Medicine, where he met his wife, Dr. Sarah Corrigan. While in veterinary school, Dr. Corrigan joined the United States Army through the Health Professionals Scholarship Program. He entered active duty at the rank of captain upon graduation. Dr. Corrigan spent 3 years as the veterinarian at Yuma Proving Ground and the Marine Corps Air Station, also in Yuma, Arizona. In 2015, after his wife graduated with her DVM degree from Virginia, Maryland, Dr. Corrigan was relocated to Florida, where he became the veterinarian at Naval Air Station, NAS, Pensacola. In addition to his duties at NAS Pensacola, he is the officer in charge of the veterinary clinic at Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi. And he also oversees veterinary and food operations at 9 other military bases across Florida, Mississippi, and Alabama. Dr. Corrigan became a diplomat of the American College of Veterinary Preventative Medicine in 2016, and he plans to complete a residency in laboratory animal medicine with the U.S. Army to become a diplomat of the American College of Laboratory Animal Medicine. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Corrigan. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Dr. K. Good to see you.
It's good to see you after all this time. Dr. Corrigan and I knew each other when we were at Virginia, Maryland.
I've been classmates for 3 years. It was fun.
Yeah. So I wanted to, and I'm so glad to have a man on the program, because so far all the interviewees have been women. So I'm really excited to get a man's perspective. But usually on the podcast, I start by asking, what made you decide that you wanted to become a veterinarian?
Well, I wanted to be a veterinarian starting in 8th grade. Before that, I wanted to be a paleontologist because I like dinosaurs. Up until about 5th grade, then I somehow figured out that they don't make any money. Spent a couple years wanting to be a cop, fireman, all those things that most kids want to be. Then for some reason, I can't remember if it was, we drove by this house, it looks like a mansion. My parents said, "Oh, that's where a vet lives." I don't think it was true, but I remember that in my head for some reason. So I was like, "Ooh, wow, I could be a vet and make money." And then it was either that or it was when we brought our cat into the vet and she did a bunch of things and it was like $80. And I was like, "Oh, wow, that's pretty good. I bet I can make a lot of money doing this." So I always liked animals. I wanted to do science, but for some reason I thought at a young age that vets made a lot of money. So I decided to be a veterinarian, which, as you all know, probably is not true.
Right. When did you discover that vets don't make a lot of money?
I don't know if it was in vet school or if it was beforehand doing research, but it was pretty quick. I mean,
yeah. Do you think if you could go back and realize what the truth was, you would have chosen to become a human medical doctor instead?
I mean, I tell people all the time, I wish I could be another kind of doctor and make a lot more money for a lot less work and a lot easier. But I've just loved animals. And ever since 8th grade, I've been like, I want to be a vet. And everything I've done since then has been to become a veterinarian, whether it was like getting extra experience, trying to make up for grades or test scores. It was been basically tunnel vision ever since I was in 8th grade. So. And
what did you think it would be like? What was your vision of yourself in the future as a veterinarian?
For a while, I thought I was going to be a zoo vet or work at a wildlife preserve. So that way the public wouldn't see me all the time, but I could try to work with the big cool animals and save them all. And then I got into vet school. I realized everybody wants to do that. There's not many options out there to do it. And you don't get paid very well. So it's highly competitive, poorly paying. So I was like, yeah, I guess I won't do this anymore. And there was a lot of bird work too. When I did the wildlife rehabilitation center they had at school, they had you could volunteer for it.
I remember.
It's just a bunch of birds. And I was like, I don't care about birds. That's all you really see. You don't get to rescue bears and wolves all the time.
Yeah. Birds are like dinosaurs though. Are they descendants of dinosaurs?
And Lost World. And I was like, wow, I really hope this happens. The whole point of the book is not to play God. I was like, I hope we do. So that we can work with dinosaurs.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I wonder if we'd be qualified to work on dinosaurs, since we're pretty much qualified to work on every animal on the planet except humans.
We'd be the most qualified out there. There's no one, not like anybody else's dinosaur expert, even paleontologists.
That's right. That's what I'm going to do. If we have dinosaurs, I'm going to become a dinosaur vet. That's a great idea. Thank you.
After they eat you, I'll be the second one that they eat.
So when you got into vet school, so you did your undergraduate in Pennsylvania, sorry.
Yeah.
So how did you get to Virginia? Were you was that in-state?
So basically I don't know if I should have gone to Pittsburgh. I liked Pittsburgh a lot, but I basically followed a girlfriend there, which obviously didn't work out. So I wish I really like this. I wish I just applied earlier. I could have got a scholarship. But I wanted to get out of state just because I didn't want to go the 13th grade in Maryland. So I was like, I'll just go to Pittsburgh. I visited it. It was really cool. And then I was like, this is pretty close enough I can drive home, but not close enough I have to worry about it being the 13th grade. So that's why I went there. And then I went to Virginia Tech because it was a state school, which I advise everybody listening who wants to go to vet school, go to your state school if you can get into it, because I'm sure we'll talk about the debt later, but oh God, it's astronomical. Right.
It's so true.
Edinburgh, real bad. And Massey over in New Zealand, or maybe it's Massey, I don't know.
Yeah, Massey.
Because we went to school together, but I got into both of them and I was like, man, this would be cool. But I did the math and I was like, it can't be when you start out, you're pretty naive and dumb. And you think, money doesn't matter. But I'm glad, I'm happy about myself back in 2007, I think.
Yep.
Or 6, I don't know when I applied. But I'm happy that I was smart enough not to do that because I'd be even more debt now.
Yes, I know. Oh, going to vet school in New Zealand, that would have been something.
I even got into Ohio State and I did a spreadsheet comparing the two of them, and I tried to keep finances out of it. And I'm really glad I chose Virginia Tech instead, because Ohio State would have been $70,000 the first year.
Wow.
And even if I got the military scholarship like I did, I would have still had to pay $70,000 for the first year itself.
Oh my gosh.
And after that, but you're still paying $70,000 tuition just the first year, let alone living expenses. Virginia Tech at the time was one of the cheapest in the country.
Okay. And you were in state. So then what was your impression when you started vet school? I mean, I'm sure you were super excited, but what surprised you, and what did you like and what did you not like so much about it?
When I first started?
Yeah.
No, I liked it a lot. I mean, it was like the college experience I never had, because I wanted to get into vet school, so I knew, okay, you have to get basically straight A's to get into vet school. So in college, all I did was hang out with whatever girlfriend I had at the time and study all the time. I didn't drink. I didn't go to parties. I just studied all the time. I remember once, organic chemistry, someone stole my book. I left it in the lab and someone took it. And it was maybe 3 weeks till the finals. I didn't want to buy a new one because it's hundreds of bucks. So I would borrow the book from other people when they weren't studying, which is Saturday and Friday nights. So I'd stay up late. On those nights, everybody else would party just like a study. So I didn't have really that much fun in college at all. So vet school was a difference, because I was like, I've already made it. I'm in school. I don't care about grades or any of that stuff right now. And I was single, and it was 80% women. So I was like, I'm just going to enjoy myself. So I loved the first 3 years of vet school. It was awesome.
Yes, I remember. You always seemed to be very relaxed and easygoing, easy to laugh, and everybody else was like, ah.
I was trying to break the tension in class.
Yeah. So was it exactly what you thought it would be?
I think so. I don't really know what I thought it was going to be. Well, when I started, yes, because you can think by the time I graduate, I'm going to know everything about every animal, so I'll be ready to go. And obviously, we know that wasn't the case. But apparently, they changed everything now. I talked to somebody at a veterinary conference, or maybe I got one of those emails, and they talked about how they're making it patient-centered. You're touching animals the first semester now instead of the 30-year. I'm happy that they're fixing it. My wife's kind of bitter. She's like, I wish they'd fix it for us. But
yeah. Well, I'm sure there's still bugs to work out.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think it's funny, too, that art class, they expanded after we all left.
Yeah. So what is what were there, 90 students in our class?
Yeah, there were 90 in our class. We had 50 Virginias, 30 Maryland, and then 10 from the rest of the country. So that was you, right? You were one of the 10?
No, I was actually in state.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh, thank goodness.
That's why I tell people, you have to go to your in-state school, because not only is it cheaper, but it's your best chance of getting in usually, because usually most schools will give preference to people.
Indeed, and there's more seats for in-state students. But so what is the class size now?
I think it's, I don't know, maybe it's 120. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Not as big as some of the schools, but I mean, they didn't like make the classes bigger, so it's going to be more crowded.
I know. I remember when they were putting in the new desks, and it was like, you just had to sit in this tiny little space for 8, 9, 10 hours a day. It was bad enough as it was.
I could do that now. Looking back, I'm like, man, I think I did it because I was young and dumb and naive, and I didn't understand like there was different things out there. Now I'm like, I could go back and like memorize the biochemical pathways, like the whole class, like biochemistry and different and neurology. I can't remember. Oh, I think histology was dumb too, because I'd rather have clinical pathology or something instead of just like, I don't make slides of tissue samples and look at them every day.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people that I've talked to, they mention histopathology as one of the things they hated. But I liked our instructor.
Yeah, our instructor is really cool. So he made it, I guess, bearable.
Yeah, he made it fun. And did you ever get to taste his squirrel pie?
Yeah, I did, but I don't remember how it tasted. Like, people talk about, because now I'm in the South, where people eat weird things all the time. I'm like, oh, I've had squirrel before, and I try to fit in by saying that, but then I'm like, I don't even remember how it tasted. I just know it was a pot pie.
Yeah, I don't remember how it tasted either. Odd man. I guess he hated squirrels. But okay, so then you said you really enjoyed the first 3 years. What did you think of clinical rotations in the fourth year?
Well, I did public corporate track because I wanted to like avoid the really hard classes, like small stuff. I just heard horror stories about it, and I wanted basically an excuse to get out, because I was already in the military, so I knew that I wouldn't be entering a small animal rotation. So my cat jumped up here.
Aw. Hi, kitty.
So I was gone a lot of fourth year. I mean, I think it was we had 17 rotations, I think, and I was like 10 of them or something like that. So I had a lot of fun fourth year, actually. It was stressful. I was always worried about getting kicked out or something going wrong. It was really expensive.
I wish I'd done the public corporate track. I did not like clinical rotations. I didn't like it at all. In the teaching hospital, it was just, I thought it was ridiculous. We spent so many hours there. We were so exhausted.
Emergencies there. Like, I didn't have any emergency. I only had one. I was back up once during the day for emergency, because they could only do it in certain in hospital rotations. Yeah. And people would have, to do the whole, however long the days were. They weren't like 8 hours. They were probably like 12 hours. And then you had to stay overnight to do emergencies because they didn't have their own emergency service. That was not appealing. So I'm glad I chose public corporate. It was the easier way. And it's replicable to what I do now. I mean, relatable. Yeah.
So you just had to take the core rotations at the teaching hospital, like a couple large animal, a couple small animal, pathology. And then what were the rotations that you did for public corporate? Like, what were some of the interesting ones?
Well, I went to work for the UN FAO, Food and Agricultural Organization in Rome.
Wow.
I was there for 6 weeks, so that was awesome.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it was basically a Roman vacation.
Oh my gosh.
I even got to meet one of the only veterinarian who won the Nobel Prize.
Who's that? And what did he win it for?
He studied it. It was something with immunology. I think his name was Peter Roeder. Might be mispronouncing it. I got to meet him, and I think he discovered like something about antigens. I'm sure somebody's gonna like fact check me on this and be like, "Oh, he was wrong." But it was cool meeting that guy, and I got to like walk him around and show him Rome, and basically babysit him before he gave his speech at the ceremony, because they were celebrating Rinderpest. It had been eradicated. It was the 10-year anniversary when I was there. So there was a huge international celebration in Rome. Wow. Like the second disease that was ever eradicated. So I got to go sit there and like put little earpieces in and listen to everybody talk in the UN room that you see in movies and stuff. It was,
wow.
Yeah, that was really fun. Even though obviously I wasn't going to work for the UN, the Army owned me, but it was fun. It was a good excuse to go to Rome for 6 weeks.
What an amazing experience! Yeah.
Then I got to go to Alaska for 4 weeks, I think it was. So,
winter or summer?
Summer, yeah.
Okay.
I got to work at the University of Fairbanks, did some research there in a lab, cutting up frozen Arctic fox spleens and looking for or different, some kind of pathogen in them. I knew more at the time, but then after that, I got to go to spend a couple of weeks, I think, at the USDA in Maryland, just back home. That was fun, but it was just basically an excuse to hang out at home. And then I got to go to the CDC for 6 weeks in Atlanta to work on rabies, because I worked at rabies in veterinary school when I was an epidemiology professor. So I already liked the disease and knew about it. So I went there for 6 weeks, and I got really lucky when I was there, because there was like one program at the CDC, and then there was this other program. The first program was, we send you around the world to see outbreaks of disease, and it's like really competitive and no one gets it. So I didn't get that one, but I got the second choice, which was you get to learn about a disease, and if it's in America, if it breaks out in America, we'll send you to investigate it if it happens to break out while you're studying it in your tenure here. But if it happens in the world, if we have money, we'll send you. And so basically they were kind of saying like, yeah, good luck. But actually that happened to me in rabies. There's an outbreak in Nairobi, Kenya, Western Kenya. Oh, no, sorry, not Nairobi. I flew to Nairobi. That's not in Western Kenya, but Kisumu, Kenya, where actually Obama's relatives are from. So I got to go. They had money. It broke out while I was there, so I went to Kenya for 12 days for free on the government's dime and researched rabies over there. It was awesome.
What was that like? What was researching rabies over there? What did you do?
Well, first we got there, and they said they had like 420 cases of rabies, and we're like, it's really bad. So I had an MD with me. He was like, he worked there. They didn't just send me because I didn't know what I was doing. They sent him and me both to go research it. And he was basically leading the charge, and I had to be like the student just learning. So I don't remember his name, but I'll just call him Doc. So Doc was there, and he's like, first of all, I don't think you really have 430 cases of rabies. Let's see what your case, like what your identification is. Like, where's your case definition? So we got there, we realized that they were counting any dog bite as rabies. And we're like, no, it has to be like proven to be rabid. So they had like 7 or 14. They had a lot, but it wasn't the full. I mean, that would be a horrible outbreak, like 400 cases of rabies. So we went there. I got to see a little kid who got bit. That was atypical rabies, and he ended up dying, which was really sad.
Oh.
And then they did a necropsy. I guess they don't call it necropsy.
Autopsy.
They did an autopsy, and I mean, it was a third world country, so they didn't have the proper PPE on. So my boss was like, "Don't go in there." He's like, "Don't go in there. I don't think it's safe." And then afterwards, we had to tell people like, "You're supposed to." We're like, "Hold on," they didn't listen to us. We're like, "You need to wear face masks and stuff." If he's a possible rabid rabies suspect, and then they sent him off, and it turns out he was confirmed. So that was really scary because we got to see the kid, he's a little boy. So that was sad. And also, let's see. What was I going to say about him? Yeah, so there was a bunch. It was atypical because he seemed like he got better and then he got worse again, which is not typical for rabies. So then we realized that there's different human presentations. So it was kind of like groundbreaking in that. Mm. But then we had to go through and look through all the records to find out whenever we thought the outbreak started, to see a possible case that we might have missed, because it looks like malaria a little bit, because it'll start acting neurologic, and depending on what other kind of endemic diseases they have there, they could have thought somebody died of a different disease and not rabies. So we went through all the records, and everything was written on like notebook paper, and like really in scratch, or it'd be like a gigantic pile of notebooks in the back of a corner of a hut. We had to go in there, like decipher that and read through it, try to read everything and understand probable cases. So it was cool field work. I don't know if we did anything within the 12 days we were there besides tell them that they did have a rabies outbreak and that they weren't doing a good job. I mean, we did a couple vaccine clinics, which is fun. I got like a nasty case of ringworm because I vaccinated like 200 dogs and cats at some of the villages to try to stem it, because that's how people were getting. They're getting bit by the dogs. So it was it was the dog variant of rabies.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks that it happened there. I'm not like happy that the rabies outbreak happened, but I'm happy that if it was going to happen, it happened when I was there and I got to experience it.
Yeah, what an incredible experience. Thanks for describing it. Okay, and then so when you graduated, that's when you became upon graduation. Okay, now you're active duty. So you signed up for a health professional scholarship program, and you said that was in your second year?
Yeah, well, I applied my first year.
Okay.
I mean, at least I don't know what they do anymore. And you might owe 4 years now because they're trying to make people do an internship. But when I did it, they didn't have that. It wasn't mandatory. So you get a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year scholarship. And if you got, regardless of which one you had, you still owed a full 3 years of active duty afterwards. So it was a good deal. So I signed up my first year and got the 3-year scholarship. And then you become a second lieutenant immediately once you get the scholarship. But you don't, I couldn't even spell lieutenant. I had to go Wikipedia it. I never had a uniform or did anything until I graduated. Then you skip first lieutenant and go straight to a captain, which is officer level 3, like an O3 they call it. So it's pretty sweet. But the Army owned me, and they still do.
So, but you said for 3 years, if you do the 3-year scholarship, you owe them 3 years of active duty.
It might be 4 now because of this internship. Even so, it's still a good deal. Unless you get like a 1-year scholarship and then you still owe 4, it's not as good of a deal then.
No. And so you say they're requiring an internship now. Is it an internship like just a general medicine small animal internship, or is it an Army?
It's called FIGB, so like first year veterinary education graduate, something like that, where you basically you're a baby captain because you come out as like knowing as much as a private, but you're still an officer, an O3. So people don't know that, but in the veterinary corps, you call it a baby captain, and then you'll be assigned to there's different internship sites. They call them FIGB sites, but they're really internships where you'll basically maybe 5 of you will be assigned a senior level captain or a major who's an officer 4. That person will kind of babysit you and show you the ropes before they release you into the clinic on your own. And there'll be also there'll be a board certified person, a foxtrot, that's what they call it, which is basically just F. So everybody's a veterinarian is a 64 series, which means in front of my name it'll say 64, and then it'll say either A, B, C, D, E, or F. And if you're an F, that means you're a specialist. So there'll be somebody usually a surgeon or internal medicine in charge of that site who basically does all the medicine, and there'll be somebody who's an administrator, who's a public health administrator, and those 2 people will show the interns the ropes for a year, and then they'll move on to be in charge of their own clinic, which is it's a good idea because when I got out, they just threw me into a clinic. I had no idea what I was doing. I had to be run the clinics. I had to run the clinics. I had to be a manager, and I had to be a veterinarian, and so with no mentorship, and I had to be an officer in the military and a soldier. So you had to do all those things, and oh man, it was like sink or swim. It worked out okay for me, but it was stressful.
I bet. I'm glad to hear that they're actually making them do those internships now. I think when I was in vet school, of course, when we were in vet school, we had no idea. I'm sure we all thought, just like you were saying, I'm going to know everything when I get out, and I'm going to be the best veterinary doctor ever, and I'm going to save everybody. And then you get out and you're like, oh, holy crap, I can't do this. I don't know why I can't do this. I don't know anything. But internship, it's just... human medical doctors, that they would never let them practice right out of medical school without doing a residency, which includes an internship.
I didn't even know how to do otitis external, ear infection. I used to stress about that because I had never seen them before. I
know. I flipped out over my first anal sac abscess. You don't know. But so I think that we should move towards, requiring internships for new veterinary graduates because it's just too stressful otherwise.
They have to require it too. They can't just say optional, because then I feel like you shouldn't do internship unless you're going to do residency now, because you'll get paid so little, then you're setting yourself back. So they'll have to require it. Otherwise I'd rather get paid a normal salary and flounder for a couple of years if it's an option.
It's true. And that's what I chose. But, yeah, in the Army, I think if you're going to sign up for this health professional scholarship program and then you get to do an internship, I think that's fantastic for them.
Too, while you're doing it, so you don't have to worry about getting $30,000 a year while you're doing it. Set.
Right. So they paid for 3 years of veterinary school, and did they pay your living expense?
Not everybody. Sometimes you get 1 year, so then you only get one, but still own the same. But in general, they paid me in school. They paid for all the required fees, like books, tuition, anything that was required in general. But I always had to battle with them every semester about the bus fee, because they were like, oh, we don't think the bus fee should be paid. I'm like, the university's always yelling at me about every semester. They would be like, Corrigan, you have to go pay your bus fee. You didn't pay it, therefore there's a hold on your account. And I would tell the military, I'm like, it's required. You have to pay this. And they would say, oh, we don't think we need to. So it was a little annoying. But basically they're supposed to pay for everything. They would pay for your insurance too if it was required by the school. So thankfully ours, therefore I got health insurance.
Right.
They did pay a living expense too, which was plenty of money for me. I think some people, maybe they want to live in nicer houses, but there was a stipend that was big enough for me to eat and provide rent. So it was a good deal. I mean, I advise every vet that asks me, I'm like, you better do the military, otherwise you'll be poor forever unless you marry somebody rich.
Right, right. So then, now we're 5 years out of school for you, and you said you owed them 3 years of active duty, so you voluntarily signed on for more.
Yeah, I wanted to retire now. If I can retire at 48, making like 70 G's a year for doing nothing, watching TV, that's the American dream, right?
Yes, I love it. Low expectations is the key to happiness.
Yeah, well, the military, I mean, I enjoy it. There's a lot of I don't like. There's a lot of red tape and frustrating things that anybody probably working in government could tell you about. But right now, I mean, the benefits outweigh the negatives by a lot. So I signed up for 4 more years, actually. So they own me until 2019. But I'm going, that's the most contract you could do at a time as a veterinarian, 4,000. So that's not 4,000, 4 years. For they gave me a $5,000 bonus every year for signing up for 4 years. So it's nicer than if I only signed up for 2 years, I would have got a lot less money. So if you know you're going to stay in the military, you want to keep signing up for the max bonus. It's good for veterinarians, but not good for other people. Like real soldiers will get like $90,000 bonuses and stuff. Like they'll laugh at my $5,000 a year, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. So something I'm really itching to ask you is I thought about maybe doing it myself, although I'm much older, and they might not have even accepted me because I was 42 when I started vet school. But I thought about it just for the financial aspects. But the reason that I worried about it was I worried that if I signed up for Army, then I would end up having to do things that I might ethically not agree with. So have you had an experience like that? Oh, no,
not yet. Hopefully I never do. Right now I'm just a general practitioner. I see patients a very small amount of time. Majority of my time is spent being a officer, like being in charge of the clinic, doing admin work, which is really a bummer. But there's nothing unethical about it. It's just tedious. I guess if we go to a war and I have to hopefully not do anything unethical, but I don't think that would be really something you worry about being in the military, because as a veterinarian, you're not likely to see combat. I mean, as an officer, you're less likely to, and then as a medical officer, you're less likely to, and then as a veterinarian, we're not even on the front lines. Like, the closest we can be is a tier 3. There's like tier 1 medicine, which is physician assistants or physician will be out there with the people getting shot, and they'll be like, hey, we'll have a little hospital, and then they'll have the medics pull the bodies back and fix them. And then there's like tier 2, which is a little bit bigger hospital, farther away from the lines. But as a veterinarian, you're going to be in the tier 3, so you're going to be way in the safest part of the deployment. You're going to be in a big hospital, big base is not likely. I mean, if you have to do something unethical, like shoot somebody because they came into the base, I mean, this shit would have hit the fan by then.
I should clarify what I mean by unethical. So I'm I'm a girly girl, and I love animals and all kinds of animals. And when I ask you about doing something unethical, it's not about shooting people in a war-like situation. Actually, I'd be fine with that.
That's not the purpose of the military. If you break it down to it, is killing your enemies, as barbaric as that sounds.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm sure it's horrible. But what I'm asking about is like doing things to animals that you might find unethical. And of course, it varies among individuals. But the schools that I applied to, I specifically applied to those schools because they didn't have terminal surgeries where, you do multiple surgical procedures on laboratory animals, and then the last surgical procedure, you euthanize them on the table. So I didn't want to, even though it would have been better from my surgical experience, ethically, I could not bring myself to do something like that. So that's what I mean when you go into the Army. We
actually did do a terminal surgery in our veterinary lab. It was part of our training for in a combat situation. They had us do, I think they were dogs. I don't know if they were from the pound. I don't know where they came from, but they brought some hound dogs in, and they said we didn't have to do it if we were ethically opposed to it because it was going to be a terminal surgery. But I did it, and it's going to sound like bad on my part, but I really liked doing it because I learned so much. I got to actually, oh man, we did like 10 surgeries on them. Then afterwards, we did a full necropsy, so we utilized every part of the experience. That was the first time I did a cystotomy and a caudectomy, which I don't know how many people are listening. Like that's cutting the tail off.
Thank you.
The bladder. I got to do an RNA, the old way and the new way. That's resection and anastomosis.
What's the old way?
Well, the old way is like, okay, so you have like your tubes, you cut out your parts, and then you sew them up. Then the new way is like when the military has a nice budget, they'll have like the pants and seatbelt. Does that ring a bell? Where you put like you bring the two things up like this, and you put this little thing in there, and it kind of like staples everything up and cuts it for you. And it goes like it's like 1 minute versus rest of sewing. we got to compare the two. Did a splenectomy with it. Did a spay and neuter, but I mean we'd already done that before in vet school. But I mean, I remember in vet school we did is like a couple spays and neuters our entire time there. Not even like maybe 5, and then it all took 3 hours each. So this was a lot better, more realistic to show that. So I guess if I was more of a nice guy, I would have felt bad about doing it. But I respected the animal for like giving its life and letting us do that.
Right.
Even though it was hard euthanizing, I thought I was a little sad at the end, but I know that for me at least the positives outweigh the negatives.
Right.
I still feel comfortable doing all the procedures, but I feel a lot better than if a working dog, like a police dog, comes in and I have to do it the first time. I wouldn't want that dog to die.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's an objective answer to what's right and wrong here because, I mean, I made surgical errors because we didn't have those kinds of labs, and I didn't know what I was doing when I graduated. So either way, I think as a veterinarian, you're going to end up having some guilt to carry around. But
that's part of the learning process, Dr. K. Like, I don't feel bad that, I made mistakes too. We had the same education. So we were like, I got no idea how to do this. I saw a PowerPoint in it 3 years ago. Let me see if I can do it.
Right, exactly.
I took a retained testicle. Oh my God. It took me like 4 hours. It was on a pit bull puppy, and I didn't want to be shy, but I was stuck out there in the middle of the desert, and it came in, and I was like, we have cryptorchid. Yes, let's get it out. So she asked me if I could remove the dew claws at the same time. I was like, sure, I can do it all. So instead of being, I was like, okay, I could be extra cautious and not want to do anything, or I could be overzealous. I don't want to be overzealous. I want to be in the middle, but I don't want to I want to get better, but I don't want to deny myself opportunities. So I was like, sure, I'll do that. It should be that bad. So I looked in what's the surgery book? Fossum?
Yes.
I looked at Fossum, and I was like, it's like basically like a paragraph that big, like a couple inches long about how to do a whole, it's like, it's easy. You just do this and you follow this and you find it right there. I was like, this should be easy. And I looked at our surgery notes and talked about, and they said, don't try to just guess where it is. Our surgery professor, he said, pull back the bladder and find. So I was ready to do all this stuff, but when I cut into him, I was like, I hadn't cut open the belly of a male before, and I was like, damn, is it in the way? For the female, so I was like, I guess I should go around it. So I ran into problems, and then I couldn't find the testicle. Like, I couldn't find it, and I was sweating my butt off. It's been a couple hours, and the whole time I was thinking, I wish I could find somebody. Like, I wish somebody could come save me. But then the other side said, there's nobody out here. You're the best chance for this dog. You better figure it out. So I figured it out, thank God. But oh man, it was stressful. It turned out it wasn't actually really retained. It was just the dog was so fat. It was like hidden in the fat of the leg. So I connected the two holes. Like I neutered the dog, even though not supposed to. I neutered the normal one just to get my confidence up. And then my technician, I was like, let me just connect these two, the hole from the belly and the pre-scrotal incision. Like that one. I was like, let me connect them and maybe I'll run into it. And then as I did that, I went over it. I didn't recognize it because I'd never seen one before. And my technician, she had seen one before. She's like, sir, I think it's right there. It's a tiny little thing down there. So we found it. It was small like it's supposed to be, but then I had to cut the dew claws off, which I'd never done. And these were like, I didn't know there were kinds that were attached versus kind that were hanging. And these were kept bleeding. I did one with cautery and then one with a blade just to compare the two. The cautery didn't bleed at all, closed easily, but the blade one, oh man, it took forever. So that was like a 4-hour surgery when it should have been a lot quicker.
And there was nobody there to help you.
It was just me. And like, I wasn't even close to town. I was in the middle of desert, so I was probably 45 minutes from town, and the town was pretty small.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Could you have even like gotten on the phone and called somebody and asked for advice over the phone?
They would have given me advice because they're not there watching me. Like,
yeah.
Hey, I don't know what to do. And then I could have explained what I was supposed to do. I knew the paragraph. I had the book in front of me, open the surgery. That was holding me, but sometimes you just need someone there. You need someone basically to like watch someone do it, and then you do it while they watch, and then you can teach somebody. Like, or is that see, do, teach? That's like the best way to learn things. But military, we didn't have that. So I'm hoping that these people in the internships will get that, and that way when they go out, it won't be the first time they've ever done something.
Right. Yeah, I know how terrifying it is, and the sweating. Literally, you do literally sweat.
I don't wear a hairnet because I don't have any hair. Even though people are like, well, there's skin cells, but I get that debate all the time. But I take like a towel and I'll hang it up right next to the surgery in the door, and then when I start sweating, I'll just go like that, not touching anything, scratch my head.
That's convenient. Yes, and you always start to itch after you're scrubbed in.
I know you're always like, oh crap.
I know. I have to sacrifice instruments just to scratch an itch. Like, oh, which one do I not think I'm going to use? This little hemostat over here. I have to scratch my nose. So you met your wife while you were in vet school, Dr. Sarah Corrigan.
That was good. It's like the only good thing about me failing out and having to repeat was that I met my wife out of it. That's what.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because you ended up in the class of 2012.
That's me for 3 years.
Yeah. I didn't want to ask about that because I didn't know if you felt sensitive about it, but
I don't know if they're going to fix it. Like, they basically, for everybody listening, like I was in Dr. K's class, had 3 years of fun, was like a jokester, and then I dated a resident in the surgery department, and it was fine. We were cool. But then when we broke up, her friend was evaluating me for the test. I guess her friend disapproved of it. So, it was a subjective, you had to do a spay, and then if they say you did a good enough job, you pass that and keep to go on. But then if it didn't like you, they could, I think it was personal. They say it wasn't, but they said my square knots weren't good enough. So they kicked me out of vet school, and then I had to, then you fail that test, then you end up failing the class, and it was a core class, and then you fail a whole year.
Yes.
I had to leave school for a year, come back the next year, redo all the classes, which was really sucky. But I mean, the good news was how my GPA, because they were the same test, so I like aced everything. Because I never had trouble academically in school. It was a personal thing. They thought I wouldn't take things seriously enough, or bitter that I had dated somebody.
I don't know. I felt it was really an unfortunate situation, and it seemed to me like there was something weird going on. You know, I don't know anything about it, and I probably shouldn't say anything about it, but.
Yeah, so it was a bummer, but that's why I had 3-year scholarship, but I still owe a lot of money because I had to pay for the 4th year, which is the most expensive year.
Right. Let this be a lesson to future veterinarians. Don't date the residents. Certainly don't get involved in any of the professors. Because I was really naive before that. I was young and thought that like the right thing always happens. You don't get screwed over. So that was the first time I faced adversity in my life. Like, it was pretty bad, but I persevered. I came back, sucked up my pride, and redid everything again. And met your wife.
I met my wife. So she was the first year when I was the 4th year. So if I graduated with you, I wouldn't have met her. And so I tell everybody she's my $60,000 woman because that's how much scholarship money I lost.
That's cheap. I'm sure she's worth much more than that. So you got a bargain.
She's also, not only she's amazing, but she's my second opinion. So anytime I have trouble, because I don't do that much medicine. I mean, as a vet in the military, in this job, I have more of an admin spot. This is actually for a major, which is the 04 position. So I'm doing a job for somebody who's supposed to be higher rank, which sounds like, oh, do you get a raise? Like, not in the military. You still get paid the same amount for whatever your rank is. You just have to do more. But I only get to see clients once a week. I see clients every Wednesday. I do surgeries on Monday, and I do admin on Tuesday and Thursday. And perhaps half of Friday, sometimes I see clients, sometimes they'll be admin. By admin, I mean administration. So boring emails, things that have zero to do with veterinary medicine. So it's frustrating. So a lot of times, even though I've been out 5 years, I won't know how to do a lot of things, or I just want a second opinion. So I'll just text my wife or bring the chart home and ask her. And my clients love it because then you're like, oh, like we get the emergency vet in town. She works at the emergency clinic, which is an amazing place. So she can always ask them, so I can get all these different opinions and make sure that I'm not doing the wrong medicine.
Yeah, that's great. That's so important. I mean, I've got a network of other veterinarians, and we text back and forth all the time, and it just it brings your stress level down about 10.
Yeah, you can't do it alone. Everybody listening should realize that don't be afraid to ask for help, and don't be afraid to say you don't know what to do. Like I tell my clients all the time, and my clients really like me, just not because I'm a great vet, but just because they'll teach you. You know, in school, like it doesn't matter how much you know, it's how much the clients like you.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll determine whether or not they think you're a good vet. So I tell them all the time, if I don't know something, I don't BS. I don't just pretend to know it, because then that could lead to a faulty outcome. So I'll just say, I don't know about this. I'm going to consult with some other veterinarian, do some research, and I'll get back to you.
Yes.
Nobody's been mad about that yet. No one's been like, oh, you should know.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I think people appreciate you more than if you had just known it, because then they know that you're so dedicated.
Yeah, I tell them all the time, I'm like, man, I don't know what this is. I was like, it could be this, it could be that. I always tell them like the worst case and the best case scenario.
Yes, that is great advice. I do that too. Especially the worst case scenario, because if you warn them of what the worst could be and then it doesn't happen, you're great.
Although last week I messed up and I saw this dog and I was like, oh, it's probably just like a pimple on its skin. And I was like, don't worry about it. Usually these aren't big time cancer problems because of the way it looks on the skin right now. I was like, but then I told him, I can't know for sure. So let me just do an FNA just to double check. So I convinced him to let me do a fine needle aspirate. And I thought it felt like a cyst. Like it felt like it was full of like a water balloon. So I was like, this is probably just a cyst. And I was like, I know you're not supposed to drain them, but the owner wanted me to. So I was like, okay, we can drain it and it'll probably come back. But it might come back. We don't want to get infected. But if it comes back, we have to surgically remove it. Anyway, it wasn't a cyst. So I couldn't get anything drained out of it. And I was like, what's going on? So I checked FNA and I was like, oh crap, this is like a horrible mast cell tumor, even though it was like the size of a water balloon. And there were 2 of them on the dog. So I was like, oh crap. I told him I did everything wrong. Like I didn't pre-med with Benadryl. I told him that it probably wasn't cancer. I guess I didn't do everything wrong, because if I did everything wrong, I wouldn't even looked at it. But afterwards I felt bad telling him, like, so I was wrong earlier when I told you not to worry about this. We need to get this cut off as quick as we can. And our surgery was actually broken at the time. So I was like, you have to go somewhere else. I was like, but we can send it to a pathologist for free after you give it to us. But yeah, that was a reminder. Don't forget your training and freestyle it, because if you freestyle it, you'll be wrong every time.
Right. I learned a similar lesson. Like never ever tell somebody, oh, I think this is going to be okay. Just don't say it. You might think it, don't say it.
Yeah. You'd rather be the angel of death and say, think everything negative and have it be a positive outcome than the reverse.
Exactly. Because if you say, oh, everything's going to be okay, and then you're wrong, boy, they never forget that. So your wife works at the ER in Pensacola?
Yeah.
Does she work nights?
Yeah, she just worked last night, actually. She got back before you called me. She set up the video part. Now she's going to sleep for like 6 hours. Yeah.
Is that hard on you guys? Her schedule, your schedule?
It's hard because I work normal hours, like a 9 to 5. Technically, it's not really 9 to 5. You're a soldier 24/7, so I can do whatever I want. Last night I worked till midnight. That's only because I'm going on vacation next week and I have to get all this work done. It kind of makes the vacation not really worth it if you're working like 12, 13 hours a day. Anyway, that's a tangent. So I usually I'm supposed to work 8:30 to 4 with an hour-long break and lunch. So it's supposed to be cush, should be easy. Doesn't usually work out that way, just because the mission has to be done in the military regardless. So you're not paid hourly, so you have to get it done. If I was better at time management, I'd probably only work that minimum hour. But she never works that. She works, just 12 to 14 hour shifts, but sometimes they'll turn into 20-hour shifts. Yes. We go for a couple of days without seeing each other. She minds it more than I do. I kind of like the independence of just like watching whatever I want on TV and sleeping in and working out. But we do end up missing each other. But we get enough time to hang. We don't have any kids yet. Eventually we will, but I don't know. We probably couldn't do that when we had kids, because there's times when no one will be in the house for a long time. The dog is just outside in the yard by themselves. but it's hot in Florida, but they have air conditioning. They can go into the basement where there's air conditioning anytime they want via the doggy door.
They have a doggy door. Yeah, that's. I don't know how people survive without doggy doors.
That's cool. I did that all the time. My dog just would come in. I mean, people had to leave to go take care of the dog, but I had a doggy door in vet school.
Me too.
Hours at a time. Couldn't imagine.
Me too.
Trying to hold it.
Yep. And I remember our classmates going home for lunch because they had to let their dogs out. Like
you speed home, you do it, you just wolf down your lunch and come back in time for class.
Yeah, really hard. Okay, so then you sound like you have just so many responsibilities. I mean, so you're at NAS Pensacola, but then you also are the officer in charge. Is that like medical director of the veterinary clinic at Keesler Air Force Base?
Running the clinic is called the officer in charge.
So you're
military term. So I'm running 2 clinics, but I'm in Pensacola all the time. And Keesler, I only go there maybe once a month at most, because it's 2.5 hours away. So
yeah.
I went there this week, actually it was Thursday, but it was a long ass day to go there, deal with stuff. I don't really see clients there. Both of my play clinics thankfully have veterinarians who are civilians that are hired for different days. So they do most of the work.
Oh.
Remotely, if it's Keesler, I'll remotely make sure that they're still making money. I have a soldier stationed there, a technician, and she keeps me up to date. She basically runs the clinic on her, and I supervise. So it looks like I'm in charge. I'm in charge of 12 places, but I'm mostly in Pensacola. That's the only one I'm really hands-on with. The rest of them, it's whenever you can get there. One of my places is 4 hours away each way in the middle of Mississippi, so I only go there once every couple months. That's just a food inspector, so he gets lonely out there. I go to say hello to him, but it's 8 hours driving in one day, so I try not to go there too often.
So, okay, so 2 questions. First of all, you said that there's civilian veterinarians working at the veterinary hospital in Biloxi?
Yeah, Pensacola too. It's a cush job, Dr. K, if you ever want to try to...
I didn't know that existed. So I could apply for a job at a military-based veterinary hospital?
Yeah, usually it's USA Jobs I advertise them, because like you said, I have a lot of responsibility. I can't be the vet at both places at the same time. And I have so much admin, I couldn't see clinics more than basically 2 days a week. I'd be stretching myself to do 2 days a week of clinics. So
right.
Another 3 days, we'd be losing money. So we try to hire civilian veterinarians to take care of it. And then we're supposed to take the cool cases so that we get ready because the whole purpose of our job is we go to war. The police dogs need to be helped if somebody shoots them, if something happens to them. So we have to be ready to go. And I mean, I have 12 police dogs I take care of at 2 different bases, and they don't have that many problems, like I would. So if I just dealt with them, I would be even worse veterinarian than I already am. I have no experience. So that's why we see people's pets. If you're civilian or active duty, if you're active duty or retired, we can see your pets. So we do really cheap veterinary care. Not cheap because it sucks, but cheap because it's government subsidized. Like our digital X-rays are $25 for 2.
Wow. I didn't know this. So if you're retired, you can go to one of these military veterinary hospitals and get cheap. That's probably better care than veterans get.
Yeah, people always whine about it. They're like, oh, shouldn't this be free? When I go on base, it's free for me. And I'm like, it's not free, but it's cheap. I mean, we do dentals for $188 base. I mean, if you do extractions, if we decide to charge for the extractions, they're even cheaper. So you can get a whole dental done with extractions and painkillers for $250. People still whine about it. I'm like, you guys, if you only knew how much this would cost in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Now, what's the quality of medicine? Are you doing dental radiographs? You're keeping your patients on IV fluids?
But military is the government, so they screw things up a lot. For instance, we've had our dental machine. I haven't been able to do dentals. And since July 2016 is when the drill broke as I was working on a military working dog. And I haven't been able to. So I can do dentals in theory, but I can't drill. So if I put an animal under anesthesia, especially these old dogs, I don't want to risk, we put them under, we risk their life by putting them under anesthesia, but I can't pull any of the teeth because my drill's broken. So I don't mind because I don't like doing dentals. So I just refer them out. But I have dental x-rays, but I don't have the cassettes that will work. And we were trying to get someone to buy the cassettes for us. So it's a lot of red tape. That's why people quit the government, because you have like this awesome care, like oh, we have all this stuff we can do, but then you'll be missing one or two components, and then you can't do anything. So
and it takes 6 weeks of red tape and paperwork.
I've been trying to get a scrub sink. I use the scrub sink like depending on how your kitchen sink looks like, I know, more like a bathroom sink. It's so small that I have my like giant body trying to contort underneath it. I figured it out by doing like weird contortionist things like yoga, but I've been trying to get a new like an actual scrub sink to replace it for 2 years. So I'll probably replace it when I leave in a year. It's frustrating.
Wow, good to know.
It's better. The civilians have better standard of care, but that's because they only have, it's because of bureaucracy. Like at your clinic, if you want to get something fixed, you can just ask the boss and they'll do it. Because, oh, this makes sense. Let's fix this dental machine so that we can do dentals and make more money.
Right.
But I got to ask like 10 different people to help me. And then none of them, like, well, I have to get a signature from so-and-so. Fill out this form. And you fill it out and they say you didn't fill it out or they'll lose it. It's really frustrating. Like I'm pretty much a flaming liberal, but I can understand what the libertarians are coming from when they talk about like government being inefficient. I don't think we should get rid of government. I think we should just make it better, like figure out how to be more efficient.
I agree. I mean, I'm socially liberal. I guess I'm fiscally conservative, but I anytime you have to interact with government, it's just such a nightmare, and it wastes everybody's time. Yeah, and it wastes time and it wastes money. Anyway,
it depends. Some clinics, it really depends on your clinic. Like at Keesler Air Force Base, it's really small. We don't have any surgical capabilities there, so they don't even have radiographs. So they could just do basic medicine. They refer everything else out.
Wow.
That's cool that we have digital radiographs. We almost have the dental, like I said, cassettes. We have surgical capabilities. We have. You can do a lot. We can't do that much. Like I guess if I wanted to, I could like say I could do all these surgeries, but I only say stuff that I think that I'm comfortable with, or things that like my wife will help me do. Like she's gonna help me do my only second crypt orchid. That was like years ago. I'm doing that Monday. So, and only because she said she would be there with me. So it's like two of us. Even though she's not an official, it's good to have a second set of hands. And she helped me do a emergency. Let's see. Oh, I had a dog that ate a Kong. Finally, I had my first foreign body in like after 4 years of practice last winter. And it was a dog with a Kong, and she helped me. We did the surgery at like 10:30 at night or something. And then it was funny because afterwards she goes, you should refer to my clinic to get monitored. I started laughing. I'm like, we can't do that. Everyone's not going to pay for that. Because what are you going to do? It needs monitoring. I'm like, I'm going to stay here all night and watch it. He goes, you can't do that. And I was like, I don't have a choice. They own me. So we set up a cot in the clinic. The dog handler slept right next to the dog, along with one of the other dog handlers in the hallway. I slept in my office, and we just watched the dog all night.
Wow. Such dedication. Oh, so he was a police dog that ate a Kong.
Yeah, it was one of our. It was a 10-year-old dog too. So like, we couldn't see that it ate a Kong in the radiographs. It wasn't obvious, but like, I just came in and like looked at VIN and looked at all the different like indications for doing surgery for cutting, and I was like, I just followed my gut. No pun intended. It was like, let's just cut this guy, because they were like, oh, the boss. We have a board certified person in charge, like. But he's in charge of like the whole region or the whole district. So it's not like somebody you can just talk. You can call him and talk to him or her, but they can't go watch you. Like this person was in Maryland. So I called him and I was like, hey sir, this is what I'm seeing. Here's a text picture via my phone of the radiographs. What do you think? And he's like, it might just be indigestion, you should just watch him and check him in the morning. And I'm like, I can't send him home. He's 3 hours away. This is one from Keesler. So and I kind of had to just go with my instinct, and I was like, I'm gonna cut him. I'm like, we're gonna do exploratory and see if we can find anything. Which is nice about the military is they'll pay for everything. I don't have to convince an owner. I don't have to be like, you know what, let me do an exploratory, then you don't find anything, and then the owner thinks that you wasted their money, even though you didn't, but they don't know that, general public. So I just cut the dog open, and my wife had done one before, so she was helping me, and we're running through the intestine, and she's like, oh, boom, it was a big piece of Kong stuck in there.
In the small intestine?
Yep, I'm the jejunum. Made it far. So we cut it out. The dog made a full recovery. I'm glad that now that I feel more comfortable because I've seen her do it. She and me, we did it together. So now if it happens in the future, I won't be like, oh my gosh, this is the first time I've ever cut open an intestine. But it's cool that we were able to do that together. So, I mean, I'm not advising everybody out there to shack up with another veterinarian because you'll be in a lot of debt probably. Better off finding some kind of rich spouse, but there are definitely benefits to having a vet as a spouse, especially in the military, because I don't get to see that many cases. So She does. She's a real vet, so she saves my butt a lot.
And it's so funny that you say that because the last podcast was Dr. Claire Simeon. She's at the Marine Mammal Center.
There's actually a veterinary. There's a military vet there too.
Pardon me?
There's a military vet in San Diego at the Marine Mammal Center.
Oh, really?
They make Claire do everything because she's smarter. So that's that veterinarian gets to do.
But her husband is a veterinarian as well.
If you're like a normal person, I mean, they wouldn't understand the hours. They wouldn't understand the stress.
But what's the other question I wanted to ask you? Oh, it's about the clients that are seen at these military veterinary hospitals. Like in terms of how they treat you, do you think that they're more respectful than the general public?
Yeah, I was a general public vet for one of my friends has a clinic, so every other Saturday I would go work there for 4 hours. And I wanted to see. I mean, the people are nice there too, but I wanted to see what the real world was like. Because in the military, they're either active duty or retired, so they're in the culture. And when you're an officer, officers only 1% of the military, so they're pretty rare. When you're an 03 captain, it's like not like to my own horn because I didn't do anything to earn it. I just went veteran. Every doctor becomes an 03, so there's even less. So there's a level of respect they give you. That I mean, no one cusses me out. No one says you're just in this for the money. They're like, I only had one person challenge me about neutering their dog, and that was like 2 weeks ago. I was like, wow, first time in 5 years. Like everybody's respectful. People are rude to my staff. I think in Arizona, somebody was like cussing my staff out, dropping F-bombs and being rude. And when I went in there, they were really nice, but I was pretty pissed off. So I kind of I did like the whole Godfather thing. I walked them to their car and I shook their hand really long and like used my full size to like stand over them and like look them really close and was like, if you have a problem with my staff, I want you to bring it up to me, not to my staff. I won't stand for the disrespect. And the person was like, oh no, I never did that. They're just lying through their teeth. And I was like, well, I don't believe you. It's
Good
nice.
for you.
Nice that people are nice to me, but in general, they're supposed to be respectful of everybody. I think there probably are more so than the general public because the military, I mean, they drill it into you. Sir, ma'am, don't. It's good in that, but it's bad in that maybe they just lie and they'll tell me that they've been doing the medication when they haven't been, instead of being honest. Yeah, but nobody's good. Like my wife's had to like call the police and people on ER, and that never happened. So it's not the real world.
Yeah, interesting. Well, that's all the more reason for me to go look for a job at one of those places. I'm going to look into that. USA Jobs, did you say? USAjobs.gov?
If there's a spot around you, I mean, they're trying to hire vets. I don't know if they pay that well, but it's a nice, it doesn't seem like a very hard job to me. Not long term, it's normal. Kind of like a government job.
It's so fascinating. I mean, like you're living in a completely different universe from me. I feel like, and like I don't even know about these things existing. So that's really cool. Thank you.
Compassionate fatigue, like everybody else does in veterinary medicine.
Pardon me?
I don't even have compassionate fatigue. Like I don't feel burned out or anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm glad you brought that up because that's another thing I wanted to ask you. A man's perspective. Like, what do you think is going on in veterinary medicine?
I mean, we already lost a classmate.
I know.
So it's scary.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way at all, just because I think it's one of the cons of the military is I don't do that much veterinary medicine. I mean, I only do like 1-2 days a week tops. So basically, if I had to guess percentage-wise, I'd say like 20 to 25% of my time is spent doing veterinary medicine, which sounds like terrifying as a vet to spend all your time doing other things. But because the good side of that, or the upside, is I don't feel any like compassionate fatigue. Like I don't come home like, oh my god. Like if I'm upset, it's about some kind of BS. Like, oh, I have to send all these emails or these kind of evaluations that have nothing to do with being a vet. They're just like soldier things that stress me out. But not like, I'm never like, I'm tired of these clients or these patients are overwhelming me, because it's so rare that I see them.
Yeah.
That's the upside, is I don't feel burned out at all for that. And I see that my wife will come home, she's just like exhausted all the time. And she's only been out 2 years, and I'm sure you know, as a normal veterinarian, like real vets, we deal with a lot of crap. Everybody expects their stuff for free, be done perfectly. And that's what I like about the military, is I don't see not enough clients to feel compassionate fatigue, and they pay us really well, like 6 figures. If you manage your money well enough in the military, like if you learn about signing up for certain bonuses, and if you get board certification, that's the whole reason I got board certification. I mean, I find it interesting, but I also was like, hey, I get extra money every month for getting this.
Yeah, that's great. So, I mean, do you have any, like, if you had to guess, what the heck is going on? Why is it so prevalent? The high rates of burnout and
I would guess that, like you said, we're all perfectionists. To get in, we had to be the smartest of people out there. Like maybe smarter than human doctors, smarter than dentists, all that stuff. And we also had, and we come in. Usually, most people come in like straight out of college, like or early 20s, and they're idealistic, so they don't realize how much depth they're going to be. So you graduate, you worked your ass off for all this stuff. You still don't know as much as you hoped you were going to know, and how much you think you should know. So you have these huge expectations for yourself, and then you have this crushing debt on top of it, and you have the disrespect that most people feel. I mean, people get treated with as a veterinarian. So you have to do more work, be smarter, for less pay and less respect. It just starts wearing on you, I think. Yeah, I mean, I'm scared of it not for me, but for just like my other colleagues. I don't want anybody to kill themselves, but apparently it happens all the time with us.
Yeah.
I think we're perfectionists. We have to basically, like I am definitely not a perfectionist. All the time I'll say, I don't know how to do that. I'll ask for help, but I think a lot of people do that as a weakness so that they'll just kind of, bottle everything up until it comes out and they just take the suicide route.
Right. Yeah, it's unfortunate. So many.
Besides our classmate?
Pardon me?
Anybody else that killed himself besides our classmate?
I don't know anyone personally. Of course, I see it, on the Veterinary Information Network or, on veterinary Facebook groups, seeing it all the time.
I didn't even think about that. The Facebook groups and the reviews. Like, I don't get reviewed, thank God, but that's gotta be stressful.
Yeah. Yelp.
Yeah, when somebody gives you 1-star review because you didn't do something for free or you couldn't fix their dying animal, that definitely, that would just exacerbate it.
Yeah. And I mean, clients don't understand. I try to be empathetic because it's very easy to get frustrated with the clients that you have to see because they don't understand medicine. And I try to remember like what my brain was like before vet school, and I didn't know jack crap. And I had all kinds of goofy ideas. So, but they think that something has gone wrong, but they think that because they don't understand anything about medicine, and they go on and they rant on Yelp. And luckily this hasn't happened to me, but it has happened to other vets. And then the veterinarian can't say anything,
It's a lose-lose situation. Just gotta ignore it. My wife's boss is really good about it because at the emergency clinic, people just trash them all the time. Even though they do amazing medicine, they have so many board-certified people. They're like, she's really lucky to work there. They have a great learning experience, but people, we're kind of, Pensacola is not a rich area, so people don't have that much money, and this place charges the appropriate amount for what they're doing. People get mad and leave bad reviews all the time, and her boss is like, I don't read that shit. I say, don't read that. It's useless. The customer's not always right. The customer's usually wrong. So if you read it, all it's going to do is bum you out. Like, it's not going to stop people from coming to our business because they're an emergency clinic. You don't go there because you like the doctors. You go there because you have to. It's the only one in town, and you need your dog to be saved. So they don't, in that aspect, they don't have to worry as much about it. But I think if I was a general practitioner, that would scare me to do good medicine and know that I'm doing right and have people not appreciate it and maybe hurt my business because of that.
Yeah. And, in human medicine as well, there's all this, they're starting to emphasize on patient satisfaction surveys, blah, blah. And I just think that this isn't a restaurant.
No, exactly.
Stop asking patients if that, did you see the Doc Vader video where he's like, did you die?
I have some friends, because in college, I didn't have it. There wasn't a pre-vet program at Pittsburgh. Everybody was there's a med school there and a pharmacy and a dental. So all my friends were those kind of doctors. Or we all took the same prereqs class. So I talked to my friends who are physicians, and they're like, oh, it's so stupid. Like, these idiots are rating us, and that makes a difference in our career. They don't know what the hell they want. Like, they want drugs, or they want whatever they saw on TV, and it doesn't work for them. So I hope our vet medicine doesn't ever go that route. I do worry about our profession going more the human way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of is, I mean, and we're more dependent on those client reviews than human medical doctors are. I mean, it does affect their salaries and their bonuses and all that stuff. And I think, God, it's so complicated. It might even affect Medicare, government paying for some of the medicine if they don't get high patient satisfaction scores. The patients say, they didn't like the yogurt.
Hopefully, if it ever comes, it doesn't come that way to our profession. But if it does, maybe we'll all be retired by then.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I think that opening a boutique practice is probably the way to go. You choose your clients.
Own my own client. I got no desire to own my own clinic. It sounds like miserable to me. My wife's first boss was talking about killing himself all the time because he's really depressed trying to run his clinic.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem enjoyable to me. Plus, I get tired of general practice. I'm tired of skin and urinating and all. I hate skin.
So do I. That's what I loved about ER.
You don't care about that.
Please see your regular veterinarian in the morning. Bye-bye.
Go see your vet.
Yeah. So tell me about the process that you had to go to in order to become a diplomate of the American College of Veterinary Preventive Medicine.
Preventive. See, I said the same thing. Got it. I actually got boarded. I put on Facebook, I was bragging about it. And my sponsor was she's like, Jimmy, she's like, I'm happy for you, but you need to change the name. It's preventive, not preventative. But to me, preventative sounds better. So even when I typed up my bio, I was I double checked. I looked at my certificate.
And I read it wrong.
It's funny because everybody does. I think it comes off your tongue better when it says preventative. But
I don't understand. Aren't they? Isn't it the same meaning?
Are they synonyms? I don't know. I'm a diplomat, but I don't even know.
I'm going to look it up. Okay, so a diplomat of the American College of Veterinary Preventive Medicine.
Yeah,
so how did you do that?
Well,
what was the process?
The requirements are basically you have to have 4 years out by the time the test takes. So I only had 3.5 by the time I apply. You apply in October of the year before. It costs $550 to apply, so it's expensive. Then in your application, you have to basically talk about why you're qualified to be boarded in that. Basically, you have to not be a normal vet. You have to work. If you work for the government, you basically have it already done. Cause you're doing different things. Like I said, I only spend 25% of my time touching animals. The rest of it's zoonotic diseases, it's food safety, it's inspections. I do a lot of food inspections. So that qualified. So I had to get 3 people to write letters of recommendation, and then somebody who's boarded to already sponsor me. I actually got Dr. Elvinger just to enroll in there. He's boarded in it.
The epidemiologist?
At Cornell now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. I work for him doing rabies research, so I love that guy.
He's so nice.
Oh.
I don't think I understood a word he said.
I love it. I'm boarded and I studied that stuff. It went over my head in class. I had to learn it all again for the exam.
Oh my gosh.
So you put your packet together, they accept it, and then in June the next year, you take the test. It's a 2-day test. First day is multiple choice. It's 300 questions. Yeah, you have to, 60 times 5 is 300, I think. Yeah, right? So that's, you have 300 questions in 5 different 60 question spots in the first day. That's the second day. I'm totally wrong. That's the second day. The first day is essays. You have 5 essays to write. It's 6 hours. Yeah. So there are 2 6-hour blocks on different days in Ohio State University. That's where usually the test is. So you're putting a lot of money to get there. You have to register. You have to usually register for a class beforehand to take it. Iowa State does a really good breakdown review each year. So I paid for that. They broke it down by month by month to study for it. It's a huge test. It's harder than vet boards.
Okay, I have to admit, I don't really know what it even means to be.
It's all public corporate stuff.
So is it One Health, preventive and preventive in terms of foods?
I should explain. There's 5 sections. So the 5 sections correspond to all the parts. There's zoonotic diseases, infectious diseases, zoonotic diseases. That's one section. That's one. The second section is epidemiology. There's food health, food safety. There's environmental health and toxicology. So they combine those 2 together. Talk about climate change. They talk about changing ecosystems and what that does to the animals there, which then plankton blooms, things that you wouldn't think normally would be associated with veterinary medicine, but
Right.
a lot of One Health with that one, and the toxicology's in there. And then there's another one. What have I missed? Oh, the really boring part, which is the public administration. that's the fifth one. So you have 60 questions in each one of those sections, and you have to get a 70 or better in 3 of them, 70%, and a 50% or better in all of them. So you don't have to ace them all, but you have to do pretty good in 3 of them, and then you can do like barely better than half in 2 of them. And the same thing for the essays. So the essays, the questions are kind of all the same. I mean, not all the same, but they don't really change as much, especially for epidemiology, because it's the same science. So it's same math and same statistics you're going to be doing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But for the 2 years beforehand, they can grab anything that's in the headlines for the essay questions. So you can write an essay. It's basically about communicating to the general public. So you can't talk like a doctor. You have to be able to talk usually to 8th grade level. So you have to talk about producers, about the chances of getting E. coli during cattle slaughter, stuff like that, how to reduce salmonella, stuff like that, so that people, when they eat the food from the animal, don't get sick.
Interesting.
They had a question when I did it was about Ebola. They asked a question about if you can get Ebola from food that's imported. I mean, I had to be politely say, no, you can't. Like, unless the person's pissed all over the food before they cook it. So you have to communicate. You can't. A lot of it's like how you're going to talk to the public. Like write a letter to producers, explain this issue, or you're talking to the public to a public forum. How are you going to explain this? So it was pretty cool, but it was a lot of work. So I studied for like 6 months for it. I even kept track of my studying some anal. So I studied for 423 hours, I think, for it.
What kind of, it's so diverse. Like, where are you getting the study materials?
You have to make it all up on your own. Like, if you do, the Army wants you to do that. If you become a Bravo, which is a B version of 64, like I said, we're all veterinarians are 64 series. So we start off as the Alpha, which is like the most basic general practitioner. Then as you increase in rank, you choose one either to be a Bravo, which is public health person, a Charlie, which is a lab animal person, a Delta, which is a pathologist, an Echo, which is just a PhD, and a Foxtrot, which is, if you want to do any kind of like real medicine, like radiologist, internal medicine, behaviorist, surgeon, all that, emergency medicine, they have all those board certifications. So all the Bravos, the public health people, have to get boarded in preventive medicine. That's what they go for. So usually they usually get a master's of public health first, and then they move on to that. But the requirements, I don't know if they changed, but when I took it, you didn't have to have a master's MPH. So I don't have one. I don't have any background. I just signed up to see if I could pass the boards.
Wow.
Yeah.
You go, Jim. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So it's partially based on just like the work that you've done already, and you have to prove that you've done so many hours in this area and so many hours in that area.
What you do doesn't really help me that much. You have to really study for the test. So I kind of made my own outlines and pulled from all these different sources and compiled it, which is why it was harder than boards too, because boards, we've got to take vet Zuku review, or what was the other one?
Oh, I can't remember. I use Zuku Review for the National Veterinary Board.
Yeah, there was like this, the things that basically you sign up for this program, you get to it teaches you how to study, where this one I had to do it all on my own, so that sucks. So I'm glad I don't have to do that again. But that made me become a Bravo, so now I'm like a different classification in the military, which hopefully
that's amazing. Congratulations, Dr. Corrigan. I'm so impressed. Ben, thank you for explaining me what the heck this is, because I was like, oh, I wonder if that's like he's an expert in vaccines.
I think vaccines. I think it's the easiest of all the board exams, so it's like easier than surgery boards, it's still a hard test. Like, most people don't pass it. So if you're going to get boarded, I advise people is the best chance is go for that one, but don't take it lightly. Like, you don't need a residency to do it, but you need to study your ass off for a long time.
But you also have to have proof that you've worked.
You be qualified. So like, if you're a general practitioner, you might not be able to do it.
Right, exactly. And what do you do with this board certification?
Just basically brag about how awesome you are. That's what people do with their board certifications. Like, I guess most people do are either in government, like they work for the CDC, the USDA, or they're an epidemiology professor or something like that. public health professor or they're in the military. Like, there's really no reason for like a normal veterinarian to do it because it's not medicine based. It's population ecology. It's vaccines for groups. It's risk associated with eating certain things or importing certain animals or messing up the ecosystem. So it's like really big picture, One Health stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, it sounds really interesting.
It's definitely interesting, and it's so much that I still don't feel like an expert, even though I'm bored at it. And it's not where my passion lies. I really want to be a lab animal person, but it was fun to take. It was fun. It's cool to do. When you get the military, you have to get board certified in something if you want to stay in. So I already checked that box, and I get the board pay every month now. So it's an extra $500 for me every month, which is nice.
That is great. So one question I forgot to ask you, because we talked so much about, the scholarship that you got from the Army. When you graduated from vet school, what was your student loan burden?
So I'm glad you asked. I'm really bad at money. Like, I try to be good at it, but I kind of make all the mistakes you shouldn't make. Like, I got the scholarship, and if I had gone through and got kicked out and dealt with that, I would have had probably like $25,000 to $30,000 in debt. That's it, which I could have paid off easy. So that didn't happen. So I graduated with $79,000 in debt because I had to redo third year. Because Army paid for 3 years. So like, we paid for 3 years. If it takes you 5 years to get through school, you got to pay for the other 2. Of course, and the worst was the last one because that's year-round school and it cost the most. You have the summer break. So that's why I spent like 60 grand basically my last year. So while I was like waiting for the semester to start, I looked at my bank account. I was like, shit, I have a lot of money in here because they gave me that living stipend, and they were paying me a living stipend, and I wasn't using it. Like, I'm a pretty cheap guy. I don't have hair care products or makeup or anything, so I don't spend any money. That's what my wife said. She goes, you don't understand how like, because I would always give money back in vet school. I was like, give like $7 grand back after I got the money for loans. I didn't need it all that much. I'd have leftover. She's like, I never had leftovers. You don't understand. You don't have to look pretty. You don't have to wear nice clothes, which I guess is true.
I say the same thing to my husband.
So I had extra money. So I had about $21,000 in the bank that I didn't need while I was waiting for vet school to start again. So I gave all that back to pay off some of my loan, thinking, my interest was going up. I was like, I might as well use that. I kind of wish I had it now, because then I graduated $79,000, and the military said, okay, we know you got scholarship. So I basically had half the scholarship. So it's better than $180,000 in debt or something, but it still sucks to have like almost $80,000 in debt. So the military had this thing where they say, okay, after we had this program called Active Duty Health Profession Loan Repayment, some weird acronym. They're basically saying like, hey, if you sign up for more time, we'll pay off up to 3 years, $40,000 a year. So mine, not counting taxes. So I was like, hey, this is great because I want to stay in longer anyway. I might as well do that and have the remaining parts that paid off. It'd be perfect. So I was like all happy and was like, after 1 year, they're going to pay off all my loans. Because I had to qualify. So I had to finish some kind of school. I didn't have to finish my 3-year obligation, but I had to finish 1 year and then I could sign up. It came around every May. So the first one I first got in, May was already passed. So I had to wait for the next May to sign up for it. I was excited. I was like, hey, why should I pay any of my loan off now? I'll just put it in is it forbearance? What's the one where you don't have to pay anything? Deferment, maybe?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. Forbearance. You mean
pause.
Not pay anything ever?
I pushed pause on my loan for that year because I was like, well,
yeah,
I should start paying now for a year. When in a year they're going to pay everything off on me. If I sign up for 2 years, they're going to pay off $80,000 on my loan. I just need to save money now so I can pay off the tax difference. So it'll be perfect. I'll be debt free in a year. This is awesome. So May came around, the budget changed, that program disappeared. So I had so my loan went from like $79,000 to $83,000. So I gained like $4,000 that year in interest, and I was like, idiot. So then they said the loan might come back in the future. They didn't even make an announcement. I was like, hey guys, where's this program? They're like, yeah, about that. There's no money for it this year. So I was like, was it going to come back? Like, well, we don't know. It might come back. We don't know. So I was like, screw you guys. I don't trust you anymore. So I signed up for income-based payments. So I was like, well, you know what? I might as well do the 10-year public loan forgiveness program. Like, it sucks that I missed out on 12 payments already, but if I do the next 10 years, if I pay 11 years in, they'll forgive the rest of it. So I signed up for that.
So IBR, and then your monthly payments are based on what your salary is. They do that calculation.
Oh, it was like $250 $84 the first year, month, which didn't even cover the interest. So my loan still went up, but I didn't care because I was like, if I paid $200 a month for 10 years, like I'm going to pay off, most of my loan will be forgiven. And with public health loan forgiveness, military counts as public health, public service.
It does.
It's forgiven tax-free. So it's better than that 20-year one everybody else in our class is doing, because they're going to have to pay that loan in the future. So I was like, I thought I had it all worked out. And then a couple years go by. I think I've been in it 3 years total. And then they change it. They go, oh, by the way, your new loan repayment is going to be, instead of $300 a month, it's going to be $906 a month. I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And I was like, how come it tripled? So they told me, oh, because your tax return with your spouse working for half a year, I didn't realize, because the first couple of years married, I was either single, and then when I was married, she wasn't working, so that made my payment lower. So I should have done married filing separately instead of married filing jointly. So because I didn't realize that, like I'm mad at myself, but at the same time, I'm like, how am I supposed to know? Like we don't learn any of these things.
Oh, I know. It's so true.
Crazy. So my loan I was like, I'm not going to pay $900. Like that's going to cost me like $6,000 extra. And like based on the tax break, you get extra refund from a tax refund from doing married filing jointly. If you do married filing separately, you pay more, but overall, I did the math and I was like, I'm paying $6,000 more if I pay the loan off. So I deferred it again and said, screw you guys, I'm going to wait, put it on hold another year. So then they wouldn't let me, even though I did the taxes right this last year, they wouldn't let me start again. They kept using the 2015 tax return. So until this month, actually, my first payment is due in like 3 days. It's going to be like $637. So it's still like double what it was before, but it's better than $900. And I did this huge spreadsheet like on Excel, and I tried to figure out, should I just pay this shit off now, or should I do the 10-year? Because our government might get rid of get rid of that thing, and I'm worried about that, because for me, like some other vets, like I know some of them who did ROTC and then joined the military, so they didn't get any loan repayment because the military paid for the undergrad. So one of my friends is like $300,000 in taxes loan, and he's relying on this 10-year thing. So for him, he has to do it. He has no choice. He's screwed if it goes away. But for me, I'm like in the sweet spot. Like, like right now I'm 90,000. So 90,000 it's a lot. Everybody else would be like, this is crazy. But as a veterinarian, that's not that much. So I'm trying to decide. It basically told me I would either save $10,000 to $30,000 over 10 years if I pay off the rest. I've done 3.5 years paying. If I do 6.5 to 7 years more, I should be okay. But now if it goes away in the new budget, I'm going to be mad at myself, because basically I've been out for 5 years. My loan was 79 when I started. Now it's 90. So I paid like $10,000 into it. So my loan has increased by a lot, and I've been paying into it. So people probably shouldn't take my advice, because obviously I'm making the wrong decisions. And I said I gave $21,000 back. Like if I would have kept that money, I could have like invested it. And if I do the 10-year thing, that money wouldn't have mattered. But if it goes away, then it's good that I paid it. So it's so much uncertainty, and we have like no experience in figuring it out. In vet school, we don't know. I'm worried about finances. Like we live fine now, but my wife owes $190,000, $180,000. But my parents paid off her loan with their retirement, and we pay them every month, so that way they get a better interest than they got with the bank, and we get less.
Oh wow.
They offered to do the same with mine, but I'm kind of proud, and also I keep thinking the government's going to pay it, so I don't want them to pay it if the government's going to pay it. But now I'm thinking, well, is the government really going to pay this? So right now we're only focusing on her loan, which I'm making my minimum payments and crossing my fingers.
And the 600 or whatever that you're paying now a month on IBR, does that cover the interest every month?
I haven't done the math, so I don't even know. I know it didn't back in the day, like when I was paying $284 and then $290.
Right.
$306 the first 3 years. It didn't cover it.
No.
I feel like this one should, because it's $600. It's like,
yeah. You should go to their online site and double check, because I mean, at least I mean, I can understand the anxiety that comes from just not even knowing if it's gonna be there or not when 10 years are up.
I mean, I could save money a lot. Like I had $50,000 in the bank a year ago. It's like could have used that to pay off my loan, but in my head I was like, be disciplined, don't pay it off yourself, because if you do that and the government pays it, you would have wasted that money. You're better off using that money you have now to pay for your wife's loan and pay for like the house and the car, because that's never going to get paid. We know that's not going to get paid for by anybody but us. Whereas the other one, there's the uncertainty about the government forgiving.
Right. But if you can check to find out like what is the monthly interest on your loan, and then make sure that as long as you're covering that interest, it won't get bigger.
I know, but if it gets bigger and it gets forgiven, I don't care.
I know, but like that's hedging your bets, right? I am in no position to give any financial advice. I am not a financial advisor.
It's confusing. I don't want to waste money, but I also don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to throw money away. So it's hard. So right now I'm like, just pay off her loan. Or is this better? Mine's all slow interest. Like, most people are 6.8 and mine's only 5.75.
Oh, that's better.
The military has a thing where no military people can pay more than 6% interest. So I signed them. They don't tell you that in the loans, but you found that out. It's like a military service number act. So I wrote them, and then they had to pay me back for the past. Like, it should have been that way the whole time. They had to give me back interest. So they cut some off. So that dropped mine down to 6. And then when you sign up for automatic payment, you lose 0.25. So I made sure I signed up for that after I signed up. I told them about the military. So that way it went to 5.75 instead of, if I would have signed up for automatic payments before telling them, then it would have went down from 6.8 minus 0.25, and then it would have gone down to 6. So I'm trying to figure out ways to game the system.
See, you are very good with money. That's brilliant.
Very money oriented. Like in the military, I think I might make like 106 or 102, like just over 6 figures, which is good in the military and also good in Pensacola. We don't make any money. This is a cheap place.
Yeah.
The military is a better choice for me financially because you don't pay loan. I make it free healthcare. I don't pay taxes on like $22,000 on my loan because that's food and housing. So it looks like I make a lot less money on paper for my tax return. So I'm doing well, but that's only because I kept track of when I'm supposed to sign up for new contracts. I got the board certification. I made sure to like do all the little jump through the hoops that if you didn't do, you would make a lot less money.
Mm.
So the military is confusing in that, but it pays better than civilian practice, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, and you have better perks.
Make my 6 figures, and then it goes up every 2 years to get a raise.
Wow.
I get more money, and if I stick it up for 15 more years, I can get potentially half pay. You get half of whatever your pay is for life. I mean, that's. Plus, they have the best lab animal medicine. So if I want to do that, if I left, maybe shoot myself in the foot, try to be a civilian, get paid less as a resident, and then try to pass the boards because lab animal boards are really hard. I think the pass rate for civilians is in the 30s, and the military is 95 to 100%.
Wow. So tell me about this. Is the thing that you're pursuing next? That you want to do a residency in lab animal medicine. So where is there, like, you would do that in the Army?
Yeah, the Army has its own. So the Army doesn't have its own. They don't have their own for like most of that stuff. Like they don't have their own internal medicine. They don't have their own surgery, but they have their own lab animal medicine and pathology, and that's all in the DC area where I'm from. So I moved back to Maryland, or Virginia, or DC, and I was do a 3-year residency there, and they pay me for a year to study while they have like specific classes where they have all the residents in that year group to study for the test, kind of like guided group study, and then you pass the board, then you come out and you have to pay them back by being a lab animal veterinarian in the military for a while. Then after that, they can do whatever they want with you. So hopefully by the time that finishes, I wouldn't be eligible for that for a couple of years. Like I have another year here, then I have 3 years abroad I want to go. Then I come back and do the 4-year residency. And by the time I paid them off, I'd be near retirement, which is
wow.
Yeah. I wouldn't really retire. I doubt I would retire at age 48 and do nothing. But it's nice knowing that you had that financial security to still be young and just chill. Like I can certainly start a whole separate career if I wanted to.
Yeah. I think you're in a great position. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Military pays well, but you got to deal with the crap, like not being a veterinarian very often, dealing with the red tape, getting moved all the time, potentially getting sent to war. It's not fun.
Right. Well, but like you said, I mean, I don't think they're going to put, doctors on the front lines.
Right. And there's also the part, like I have all these people underneath me that I get to like take care of and mentor and really help them out. So I enjoy taking care of my soldiers. So I recommend the military. If you just want to be a vet all the time and not deal with anything else, don't do the military. But if you're able to be flexible and kind of like pull yourself in different directions and multitask, then it's the right choice.
Yeah. And I'm really glad to hear that when you were doing those surgeries and then did a terminal surgery, that they gave you the option to not do it.
they're not barbaric like maybe they were in the past.
Okay, good to know. Now, why do you want to do laboratory animal medicine?
Well, my parents are PhDs. Dad's in theoretical nuclear physics, mom's in biochemistry. So I did research in her labs when I was in college. I've always liked science and the research aspect. I want to figure out ways to use animals, so it's not bad, use animals to help us in human medicine, how to cure the disease that the animals have. Because as you know, most animals have most of the same diseases that we do. So we can cure the animals, we can extrapolate that to humans. That's one advanced medicine in the world. I feel like laboratory medicine, animals is the best for that. Also, you get to wear multi hats. Like instead of just I get to do clinician work, and I also get to teach. I like teaching, and then I would get to do some research. So I get to do all three. So it seems to me like the perfect balance.
Yeah. So, I mean, I always worried about if I went into lab animal medicine, despite all the good that I'm sure it has the potential to do, like one mouse would look me in the eye, and that'd be it.
Well, that's the thing.
It's like when you go to the shelter and one of the dogs just looks at you in a certain way, and you just know, okay, you're coming home with me. That would happen with me with a mouse. I'm sure it would be one mouse. He would look at me a certain way, and
well, I'm afraid of it because I haven't actually done it. I haven't worked in medicine. So I'm afraid I can say, oh, it sounds awesome. I want to do this, but what if I start doing it and I'm like, I don't have the heart. I can't euthanize this animal. I can't do any harm to it, even if it's for a greater good.
Yeah. It's and it's another one of those areas where I don't know what is right or wrong. People have very strong ideas about it, and I've heard of lab animal vets who, they are specifically laboratory animal vets because they look at themselves as the only person there who's specifically advocating for the animal.
Well, yeah, it's going to happen either way, so you might as well be the one who says, hey, listen, IACUC, which is the committee that oversees all the animal stuff, it's very in-depth. They make sure you don't do unnecessary experiments. They make sure you include pay control unless you have a very good justification why you shouldn't have it. So that is a good thing. Like, you're not just this barbarian, you're basically making it as good as possible for the animals.
Yeah. And it's sad because I know this one veterinarian who's a lab animal vet, and that's how she sees her job. Like, she advocates for those animals. She makes sure that they're not suffering. She makes sure that they're, being treated well and that they have environmental stimulation and all that. And she went to a shelter to adopt a dog. And when she put down her career, they wouldn't let her adopt a dog because they thought like, oh, you're this evil person, so.
Wow.
Yeah. Before vet school, I had very strong ethical issues with animal research, and it still breaks my heart. But now I know that the veterinarians that do it are doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah. No one, I don't think anybody likes it because you said like you're. I feel like I'm hoping that I'll be able to do the stomach because I know it's for the greater good, but I'm sure it's going to be hard. And I don't know if I can't say for certain that I will be able to.
Right. Well, we'll have to check back in.
Yeah. 4 years from now, we'll see.
Yeah. So, with the being in the Army, also they can send you wherever they want at any time, right?
They own me. Like, I have these big plans, but we go to war with North Korea or Iran or who knows who we go to war with. All the plans get ruined.
Yeah. Well,
people want to sign up for the deployable units, but for me, even though, like I said, the military doesn't want you to be a vet, they want you to be like a soldier first, then an officer second, and then a vet last. I'm trying to stretch out as long as I can the veterinary part of it because that's why I went to school. That's where my passion is. So I'm hoping that I don't get sent abroad.
Right.
Unless the dog gets blown up, I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Especially animals.
Well, I'm hoping for you too. I'm very excited about, the studying that you're going to be doing in your residency. I hope that's going to be really fulfilling for you. I bet it will.
Well, plus the military has like a good old boys network where 20% of all lab animal vets are from the military. So as long as you don't burn any bridges, it's easier for you to get a job afterwards too. So you get the board certification in lab animal medicine, then you can be a lab animal vet and they make a lot of money. They live good lives. You can work part-time when you're retired. I mean,
Don't have to deal with clients berating you.
and if you want to, I mean, I could work part-time at a normal clinic. I could retire at 48 and then work 1 or 2 days at a normal clinic, and then.
That's so true. That's so true. I mean, there's some really great things about being a DVM. And apparently now I know, especially a DVM in the Army. So you've been so generous with your time, Dr. Corrigan. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's been really fascinating. Thank you for opening my eyes to a world that I knew nothing about. And I'm sure that everybody listening is going to get a lot out of everything that we've talked about. I'd like to ask you one last question, and that is if you have any specific advice that you would like to offer future veterinary doctors.
Well, like I said it before, but I'll say it again because it's important. Go to the school. If you can be a resident, go to that school. It's going to be cheaper. And I mean, some schools are a little different. Like I don't think UPenn or maybe Tufts gives as much of a benefit to staters, but if you really want to go to Colorado State or Florida, try to move there first and establish residency, because you may think at age 21 that the money's not an issue, you don't care about it. But once you graduate, you see how much money, how much debt, how much interest is already accumulated. But even in the 4 years you've graduated, oh man, yeah, figure out your finances. Even if you have to work a couple years to save money so that you take out less, do that. The military is a great option for paying off the school. Understand it's not great. I thought it was too good to be true when I joined. People say, what's the downside? I said, what's the downside to this military? It's too good to be true. They go, well, you're in the military. And that in itself sometimes is a downside for some people. So really just do your research. Don't do anything impulsive. I mean, it's not likely that you could get into that school just being impulsive unless you're a genius. But really think about the finances and make a plan for you. Because hopefully in the future they'll fix the income to debt ratio, but it's not fixed right now. It's not fixed for me or Dr. K.
Nope.
Our clients.
Nope. I told myself, oh, well, I'm going to be, I've got $200,000 in student loans, which is, about the cost of a house, not even a very nice house. Yeah. And I'd rather have a DVM degree than a house. But guess what? You still need a house.
Yeah, you need to live. And that's the people before they go to school. And once you graduate as a vet, don't be afraid to say you don't know and ask for help. Don't be afraid to say no. Like, you don't have to do certain surgeries. Like, I don't do declaws, I don't do ear crops. Most people probably don't even want to do that. You can say no. You don't have to euthanize anything. You have to really worry about yourself and compassionate fatigue. Avoid going into the downward spiral, and don't take things too seriously, because it's better for the profession that you're more lighthearted and you don't take yourself too seriously, because if you end up burning out, then you're not going to be able to help any animals down the line.
Very true. That's very true. It's the cost of caring too much. You end up not being able to help anybody, including yourself. All right. Dr. Corrigan, thank you again for all the time that you so generously given us. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And I look forward to hearing about how it goes when you start your residency. Good luck with that.
Hopefully I'll be in Japan or Italy next for 3 years, just being a normal vet.
Oh,
that's what I'm putting down. I'm crossing my fingers that I get chosen for that next year.
Japan or Italy?
Yeah.
Wow.
Running a clinic over there on base in 3 years.
Wow.
And then going to residency. So I won't be a resident for a while.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, gosh, that's so exciting. And then your wife would go with you, obviously.
She's not happy because she might not be able to get a job over there, but it's the first world problem to travel for 3 years and have fun, maybe start a family, and then come back and do it.
Exactly. Perfect. I think she should embrace the experience, learn to speak Japanese, Italian, go shopping, pick up a hobby.
That's what I didn't say. You get to travel the world, supposedly. I haven't done it yet. I've only been to Guantanamo Bay, but next year, hopefully, I'll finally get out of the country.
Oh, that'll be wonderful. I look forward to hearing about that. All right. You take care and have a great weekend.